I want to thank you for joining us today to learn a little bit more about a different paradigm of accounting. And by the way, hopefully everyone can hear me well. As I mentioned a couple of minutes ago, if you're having any issues with audio, you can click on the audio tab on the GoToWebinar control panel, and you can adjust your settings, switch from telephone to microphone, or vice versa in that situation. And if you have any questions during the presentation, you can go ahead and use the questions tab to write those in, and either myself or Dave or somebody else from AccountantsWorld will get back to you either during or directly after our presentation today. All right, so with the administrative keys out of the way now, just a brief word about AccountantsWorld before we get started. AccountantsWorld is the recognized pioneer in cloud computing for accountants. We'd like to say that we've been doing cloud computing solutions for accountants for longer than the term cloud computing has existed. We've been doing this for 16 years at this point. And what really differentiates us is that we make an uncompromising commitment to accountants. Unlike almost all of our fellow competitors in the cloud solution space, AccountantsWorld never sells any products directly to your clients. We only work with accountants and professionals, never small businesses directly. Our goal is to harness the cloud to put you, the accountant, back in the driver's seat, restore the relevance and status of accountants, and we'll talk a little bit about what's happened there and what we're trying to do about it. And the key upshot of that is that we only thrive by first helping accountants to thrive. The founders of AccountantsWorld, Dr. Chandra Bhansali and Chandra Bhansali, had a thriving tech software business, and they sold that business because they really felt like there was a need 15 years ago to create a new class of cloud solutions, one that were accountant-centric rather than client-centric or software-centric. And we've received a number of awards for innovation and helping accountants along the way. Chandra Bhansali has also been named one of the 100 most influential people in accounting for 13 years running, and Chandra Bhansali was named one of the 25 most powerful women in accounting. So I'd like to start out by talking a little bit about our context in terms of what technology is doing for accountants. There's no doubt that technology has done tremendous good for the accounting profession. We all know about the benefits of accounting, benefits of technology that we reap on a daily basis. But there's also a darker side of this technology that most people are not aware of. And to understand where that's coming from, we have to think about the major forces that push on accountants. So if we think about major corporations like Intuit, ADP, and Paychex, what they've done is use technology to penetrate deep into the core services that accountants have historically offered. So that includes tax, accounting, and payroll. Now, that doesn't mean that these companies are doing something wrong. They're great companies, and they're great because they're relentless in creating shareholder value. And this is the model that they've chosen in order to achieve that goal. If you're a shareholder of Intuit, you certainly appreciated what they've done over the course of the past 15 years. If you're an accountant, maybe not so much. So what they're doing is in their best interest. And what I would ask today is that we take a look at what's in the best interest of accountants and begin to once again put accountants first. So let's talk about some of the specific influences that these corporations' practices are having on accounting firms. Those of you who've been practicing for a while know that accountants used to often do the payrolls for their clients, but then payroll service bureaus began to use the power of large mainframe computers, and they took away billions of dollars worth of payroll services from accountants. Next up, do-it-yourself tax prep software came out, like TurboTax, and that's taken a huge bite out of accountants' tax practices. Last year, about 50 million taxpayers did their own tax returns using a tax program. And this year, another 3 million taxpayers are expected to abandon their accountant. And the bad news is that these things are going to get worse as more and more taxpayers choose to do their income tax returns themselves using a tax program that they trust. Now, finally, let's talk about accounting. Intuit's founder, Scott Cook, had an ad campaign a few years ago that reminded small businesses that they could, quote unquote, fire their accountant and do their accounting themselves using QuickBooks. I'm sure many of you remember that campaign. Now, fortunately, Mr. Cook hasn't been able to take accounting away from accountants because business owners often realize that accounting is far too complex for them to be able to handle all by themselves. They need the help of a professional. However, QuickBooks has succeeded in putting themselves at the center of accounting, and you all know the significant headaches that that creates for professionals like yourselves. Perhaps the most frustrating thing that we hear about often from the thousands of accountants that we work with is the bookkeeping messes that clients make when they're using QuickBooks. QuickBooks is a small business tool. That's who it's created for, and it limits your expertise or your ability to use your expertise to offer top-notch strategic services to your clients. Your clients now look at you differently because of this piece of software. Another impact is that bookkeeping, which used to be a significant source of revenue for accountants, has become a low-margin secondary service. And that's why most accountants these days don't even bother to offer that service. There are other negative consequences that have occurred as well. And I think probably the most damaging sort of secondary secret influence of what Intuit and other companies have done is that your client relationships have been compromised. Now, QuickBooks users, your clients, they're your most precious asset, but they're also QuickBooks' most precious asset. QuickBooks has made it very clear that they value accountants primarily as a channel to reach small businesses. And this puts you in a really difficult situation because, again, the software has a stronger hold on your clients than you're often able to have, and that hurts your accounting practice and the profession as a whole. So when we think about what's happened here, it's important to realize that if we don't do anything about it, if accountants as a whole don't do anything about it, and you specifically don't do anything about it, the situation won't stay the same. It's going to get worse. Intuit's core activities overlap with accountants' core activities, and because Intuit is committed to growing and increasing their shareholder value, the only way they can do that is by penetrating deeper and deeper into the core services of accountants. If there's anyone out there who thinks that Intuit is going to backtrack from the core services they've been offering, please feel free to go ahead and raise your hand on here. I don't think we're going to get too many people raising their hand about that. This has been their consistent pattern and the consistent pattern of some of these other mega corporations as well. So when Intuit looks at cloud technology, what they see is an opportunity to penetrate deeper. Specifically, they're using cloud technology to enter into payroll processing services very quickly. So right now, the largest provider of payroll processing services is no longer ADP or Paychex or any of the other veterans of the industry. It's Intuit, and that's something that's happened just in the course of 7 or 8 years. They've become the industry leader in payroll processing. So again, that's going to hurt tens of thousands of accountants who offer payroll services. So when we think about what we're going to try to do, it's important to realize that we're not only trying to counteract what has happened to date, we're trying to counteract this future, which some accountants see as inevitable, that that's going to be the direction that it goes in. But we believe, and this is really important, we believe it's not a fait accompli that it has to go that way. We can do something about it. So we're going to talk about how we strengthen our position and regain some of this lost territory. The good news is that what AccountantsWorld is doing is harnessing cloud technology, just like Intuit does, but we're harnessing it for exactly the opposite purposes of Intuit. Our goal is to help accountants regain lost ground, to help you better serve your clients, to help you protect and grow your practice, and continue to feel and perhaps regain a feeling of pride in what you do and the way that you serve your clients. So when we think about accounting, and we think about the role that QuickBooks and other programs like that play in client accounting right now, I think many accountants would agree that the current model of client accounting is broken, but often accountants have a tough time articulating exactly why it's broken. And so over the course of talking to hundreds and thousands of accountants, we've come up with this diagram here to explain what we feel is currently happening in client accounting. The accountant, you the professional accountant, are on the outside. You're on the periphery of client accounting right now. And what's in the middle is the relationship between QuickBooks and the client. The client buys QuickBooks, the client uses QuickBooks, and then produces output that you then have to go ahead and clean up at that point. Now, the real key here is people sometimes say the problem that I have in client accounting is that my client is in charge. When we investigate more deeply, what we find generally is the case is not that the client is in charge, it's that QuickBooks is in charge. a piece of software has taken charge of client accounting processes. And I think that's a really critical mistake that's happened in the industry here. And with their marketing muscle, Intuit and other off-the-shelf accounting products have been able to place themselves right there in the center of accounting and train clients to go out and buy a piece of software that gives them free rein to do whatever they want to. As you know, most clients have very little knowledge of accounting. That's not their expertise, and they don't want to become experts at it. So they end up making bookkeeping messes, and you sit on the sidelines waiting for that bookkeeping mess to come to you. You have very little control over what your clients do, and your job is to put out the fires after the damage has already been done. Now, you can bill them for the time spent fixing those errors, right? But I'm pretty sure most of you didn't get into your public practice in order to bill clients for being basically a duct tape for fixing their errors after the fact. You wanted to be able to provide more timely strategic help and advice to help your small business clients grow. So this model negates your ability to do that. It hinders your ability to do that. So the solution that we've come up with is to replace QuickBooks with a separate type of solution. But more importantly, what we're replacing at the center of the new model, which we call the accountant-centric model, is you, the accountant, right? Imagine that a highly trained professional being at the model, being at the center of professional accounting, rather than a piece of software. Makes a lot of sense to us. In this sort of cloud-based model, you work collaboratively with your clients while you remain in command. You can limit your client access only to the functions that you want them to perform. So if you have a client who has their own bookkeeper or who is well-versed in accounting, you can allow them to access more functions. If you have a client who isn't really qualified to do anything other than write checks and look at financial statements, you can limit their access and work with them to limit their access to only those functions. And so you can design the system in a customized way for every single one of your clients simply by going to one screen, which Dave will show in a few minutes here. And that's how you minimize, if not completely eliminate, client errors. The solution that we're talking about here, our solution, is called Accounting Power. It's one of the very few solutions out there that's both cloud-based and truly collaborative. So rather than think of this as this is a software piece, a software component only for accountants, or this is one driven by clients, we like to say this is a unified system for both clients and accountants. It includes everything professional accountants need, as well as everything that your clients need, and you're both working together on one unified cloud-based system. So as I mentioned, it's a unified professional accounting system. Here's a look at all the components that are included in here. So on the professional side, write-up, trial balance, financial statements, bill payment, alerts and dashboards, and client management tools, very sophisticated tools for client management as well. And then on the bookkeeping side, we offer banking, sales, expenses, job costing, and inventory. All the things that you've come to expect from other systems that you may have worked with, we're offering the same sorts of things, and in cases like bill payments and alerts and client management, we're offering more sophisticated tools, and we're offering them within a paradigm that helps you and your clients to work together more closely rather than more distantly. So actually, before I proceed on here, I gave you the context on what Intuit has done and then sort of what our response to that is. So what I'd like to do at this point is actually go ahead and open up a poll. And Jonathan, if you wouldn't mind launching the first poll here. And I'd like to ask you, how much do you agree with Chandra? Chandra's the person who sort of created that model, and then today I'm presenting it. How much do you agree with our assessment of the impact of Intuit's activities on the accounting profession? So do you strongly agree about our assessment of what impact Intuit and other companies like them have had? Do you somewhat agree, somewhat disagree, or strongly disagree? And so we'll take a few more seconds here to allow people to get in their vote. And if you could please vote and click submit as well so we get your vote counted here. All right, we'll take just 5 more seconds here for any stragglers to go ahead and vote. Okay, and Jonathan, if you can close the poll here. Okay, And so what we see here is over 90% of you either strongly agree or somewhat agree with that assessment. And that's number one, great to see. That sort of validates what we do and our approach to creating solutions and working with accountants. And number two, I think it shows that you're not alone, that the perspective that you're demonstrating and communicating to us is exactly what we've heard from tens of thousands of accountants across the country, and that's exactly what we're trying to address here. All right, so so let's talk a little bit about how accounting power changes the game. As I mentioned before, the key here is that it provides you with control over client accounting, and it really provides you with full control over client accounting. It lets you offer accounting services to every single one of your clients precisely the way that you want to, faster, easier, and more profitably. So we think the two keys to successful accounting right now are, number one, to have collaborative control, to have control over what your clients are doing, but also to be able to collaborate with them more closely than current systems allow you to do. And number two, to maximize opportunities for efficiency. And so we're focused on those two areas in order to make your client accounting practice more profitable. We're dedicated to minimizing client errors, as we talked about before. Via bank feeds and other innovative tools that we've created, we can reduce the time that it takes you to do write-up by 30 to 40%. I just talked to an accountant last week who said that their write-up time has gone down by over 60% since they've been using Accounting Power. Your staff can now offer bookkeeping services right from your office, and you can do that faster, easier, and more accurately than ever before. And in fact, in most cases, you'll be able to offer bookkeeping services at a lower cost point to your clients than they can get themselves, which is a real game changer in terms of offering more comprehensive services to them and being able to improve client retention and client loyalty. It offers comprehensive tools for all of the professional work that you need to do. And it also provides you with the tools and information and dashboards that you need in order to provide strategic advisory services to all of your clients. And we'll show you how we help you to manage the cash flow for your clients and also to be able to look at KPIs as well. So at this time, I'd like to go ahead and turn the desk over to David Manel, who will do a brief demonstration of how Accounting Power accomplishes all those goals that we just talked about.
Okay, this is Dave Manel. My first question is, I just want to make sure that the screen is now showing.
Yes, it is.
Okay, thank you. So I'm going to go through just a quick demonstration of our product. Mainly it's going to be Accounting Power, but I'll just mention some of the other products that we also have. So the first thing is the clients will access our software through your website. And we have Website Relief, which is one of our products, but it can also be done through your website if you already have one. This is a sample website that we have set up in our program. So they just come in, they log in, and that takes them into this main portal page. The things I want to show you on this page is, first of all, we have a broad variety of packages that we offer. We have, of course, Accounting Power, which is I'm showing, but after the fact payroll. We have Cloud Cabinet, which is a storage program, and Payroll Relief, which is for live payroll. After the fact, of course, was for the after the fact payroll. Practice Relief, which is sort of a practice management program. So I go into Accounting Power. First thing I want to show is just the menu. Now you'll notice there's a lot of different things. As Divya mentioned, we have both write-up and full service bookkeeping and full financial statements, reports, and everything else for trial balance work, all included in one program. So if you have clients that are doing their own bookkeeping, or if you're doing the bookkeeping, you're also right at that point in the software in order to be doing the financials and trial balance work. And if you do write-up from here, you're also doing write-up right from within the program, and you're ready to be doing the the trial balance work as soon as you're done. It's a pretty comprehensive program. We have consolidations, we have inventory, we have job costing, we have departments, and a lot of other things. The other thing I want to show right here is that it's branded to you with your logo. I mean, it says Accounting Power, but your logo, everywhere you go, when your clients log in, they're going to see your name all the time. So that keeps you in the forefront of their eyes. Now screens, if accountants are doing the, if the clients are doing their accounting, and also for your own staff, the screens are pretty intuitive and they're pretty familiar. This makes for a short learning curve for your clients if they're going to be doing their own accounting work, and also makes it easy for your staff to learn. So this is just an example of what our interbill screen looks like. You're going to see it again when I show bill paying, but it's pretty straightforward. It's easy to use, and yet it can be comprehensive. As you see down here, we have departments. We could have also had inventory and job costing, the ability to recover expenses from your customers, a lot of different features. If clients are given the permissions to write checks, check writing is pretty straightforward. It looks exactly like a check. When they enter the name of the payee, it'll automatically, once you've got it set up, it'll automatically default to the right expense account, so you don't have to worry about the clients fouling things up there. They can see what the balance is, so they know when they're writing a check if the funds are available. And all of our screens are pretty similar, so once you know how to use one, you know how to use them all. It's a very intuitive program. So the first thing I'm going to show is traditional write-up, and then I'm going to go in a little to demonstrate what we call bank feeds. So now traditional write-up is, of course, that heads-down entry. Anybody who's ever done bookkeeping work, I've done it, knows that you get the statement in front of you, you type those things in, you try to do it fast. And of course, there are some bookkeepers who are amazingly fast. I was never so good at it, but what the heck. We've included a lot of features in the program to speed the entry. So I'm going to show a little bit of what they are and to how it helps you with the heads down entry. So this is the write-up screen, and you'll notice when you're in the write-up screen, first thing is the date field. And now on the date field, you're allowed to change the date without having to use the mouse or actually to type anything in. You can type in the date if you choose, or you can click on a calendar, but you can also move, which makes it a lot quicker, through dates just by using the arrow keys. And on each new client, it'll default to the date that you entered before. The reference number, of course, will default to the next one up from whatever was entered before to make it easier. One less thing you have to put in when you're doing the write-up work. Once you select the payee, it's automatically going to accept, it's going to put in the default expense account. If you have a client without a default expense account, once you save it once, the next time it'll remember it for them. If you need to do any edit work as you're entering the write-up transactions, you can see them over on the side, and so it's very easy for you just to click on a line in order to bring it back for you to edit or correct it. We also include hash totals. Hash totals are very good for if you're going off of a bank statement or something, you enter 30 checks, and you know the total expenses should have been $32,000, so you look and you see the number that you have, and you either see that it's matched up or you got to go back and figure out where you made an error. And you would also see how many checks were written to. So now that's, I don't really have too much time. There's lots of features for write-up, but that's kind of a gist of what our write-up is. But now I want to go into the bank feeds and the advantages of the bank feeds. The first thing is really, what does bank feeds mean? And what it really is the importing of bank and credit card transactions directly into the program. And what this can do, it can dramatically reduce data entry time. Like I said, I know there's some bookkeepers who are really, really fast, but it doesn't matter how fast you are. If you have 50 or 100 transactions to enter each period, you can't compare to just bringing them all in a matter of seconds. It reduces errors. It's pretty hard to enter all those transactions without having something in there incorrectly. And once something is in wrong, it takes time to find it and to correct it. Another big thing is it saves the time and aggravation of getting data from your clients. Of course, we know some clients, are really good. They bring you their information in a timely manner. You ask for it, you get it. But there's other clients that, at least I assume most people have, that it's very hard to get stuff from them. It's sort of like pulling teeth, that you'll ask for information, I'm going to get it to you next week, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, and eventually it comes, it's the end of the year and you still haven't done anything. So this really saves that time and aggravation of getting the data from your clients. The thing is, once they're set up with this, with the bank feeds, it's so easy to do that you can do it almost in real time. I mean, you could do it real time every day if you wanted, but for write-up work, it's not necessarily maybe to give day by day, but if you do like every month or something, you can give your clients real-time advice. Like if you see they're spending too much money on marketing, or if they have sales are a little bit slow on one of their products in a period or something, you can tell them right away, as opposed to the way a lot of write-up work goes. You don't really do anything until maybe March, when you're getting ready to do your tax return with them, and now it's a year old, the data. So the advice you can give them there might help them for the upcoming year, but it's not really good, timely advice to give to your clients. It can speed up the bank reconciliations. That's more so when you use the bank feeds, which I'm not going to go too much into, when you use the bank feeds when clients are actually writing checks. And in that case, we match against written transactions and everything that's been written, and once the bank feed comes in, it'll mark everything as cleared that has cleared. So it can speed up the bank reconciliations. And it really can reduce the tax season crunch time stress, because by being able to spread out the workload over the year and to be able to do this work during the year easily, you're not doing a whole bunch of write-ups right at the same time that you're trying to do all your tax work. So let's go into how you can get your clients set up to do this, the bank feeds. First of all, as with a lot of things, we try to make it easy for you and your client. So there's an email that you can select. I'm not going to go through how you select it, but that's also pretty straightforward. You'll kind of see it later, that you send out to your clients. And the client can receive this email. He can be on his computer. He can be on his smart device, wherever he is. All they have to do is just click on the link, and that'll take them into a spot where they register in order to approve access to the data. And an important thing to remember here is the client's not giving you any access actually to their bank account. They're just giving you the right to import the data from the account. So you don't have any liability that you're actually in their accounts. So once they're registered, once they're set up, the next step is simply that you would use the bank feeds to upload the transactions. So you come to our banking screen, you go to upload transactions from e-bank statements, you select bank feeds, you select the period, you select which account you want to import, and then it takes, like for 32 seconds, had I been doing it with a real thing, it's less than 10 seconds for the information to come in. In this case, I imported, and I had found 32 new transactions. When you're doing write-up, you're kind of expecting them all to be new. And what the system does, it has a very good program in order for matching up vendors, because some of the names, the way they come in from bank statements, can be a little confusing. But it matches them up with the vendor names. So in this case, there were only four 4 vendors that couldn't be matched. And then your next step is to add the ones that weren't matched. So the next time when you're doing it, that vendor will be in there. So if it's a new vendor, all you do is click on Add New Vendor. A little window pops up. This time maybe Octopus Services was one that was new, and I added them. So now, as you can see over here, they came across, they have marketing, and if I import or do the bank statement the next period with them, that's already set up and it'll come in. And there's also ways to handle aliases, which is where the name is a little bit different than what the name is in your vendor statement, in your vendors. But that's not for what this webinar should be showing. But that's very straightforward also. So once they come in, the transactions are pretty much coded and they're ready for review and write-up. So it can, if you have 100 transactions, the amount of time you can save here is tremendous. And that's in each period. So once you count like 12 periods during the year, the hours that are saved, it's really amazing. But anyway. So that's the basic idea for using the bank feeds. And once again, as I said before, the bank feeds are for bank and credit card transactions. And the more transactions you get your clients to use with credit cards and debit cards, the faster and better this works. So the next thing I want to show is our Client Center. And the Client Center is a place where you can see a little bit of information about all of your clients in one spot. And we've really added a very powerful tool here in order to be offering a bill payment type service to your clients. It helps you track the bills as they flow through the system, makes it easy to get the information to the clients and easy for the clients to get their information to you. So this is the Client Center. This is what you see on the bookkeeping screen. We also have a Client Center which is for non-bookkeeping clients, and this will show, like before what I did with the bank feeds, it'll show if the client is registered for a bank feed, if there's any accounts that have been registered but haven't been mapped out yet, the last date that you imported, and if they were doing any check writing, how many checks need to be printed. So what I'm going to be showing is client document uploading and the whole bill pay cycle. So what you do when you're doing this is the best way to follow it through is you use the client activity screen, which is from the Client Center, which is what I just showed you. This screen, it allows accountants to track many important facets of the accounting cycles of all of your clients in one spot. It also allows for easy communication with your clients, and it's a good daily starting point along with the snapshot, which I didn't show yet, but I'm going to show in a moment, for managers, because the manager can see the status of all of their clients and also some good financial information about your clients in one spot. So the snapshot, which I didn't mention before, is this screen. The snapshot shows financial numbers for all of your clients in one spot. And you'll notice right here that I'm looking at widget manufacturing, and one of the numbers, accounts receivable, is in red. It's 317,000. And while we are short of time, this is just too important of a thing for me to go by, that how powerful these alerts can be in helping you stay on top of your clients. You can go into alerts, you can set up a threshold for each client. So for one client, maybe if anything's above 20,000, it might be unusual, or where for another client, maybe above 300,000 is unusual. So you set it up, it's client specific, and you can be notified if accounts receivable are too high. Maybe if a check was written that's larger than what you would expect a check to be written. It also lets you know if there's a lot of uncoded transactions, because maybe your staff or somebody did not know what expense account they should go to. They were new transactions or something. And it gives you a good chance to keep on top of where your clients are too. You can see the current period, the year end. If you've given access to the client, you see the last time they logged in. So anyway, back to what I really was going to be showing at this point, is the client document uploading and the bill pay cycle. So the first thing you do is you go into the client activity screen and you want to send an email to your clients to let them know that you have a system available for them to take pictures of the bills to get them to you. So you select the clients you want to send the emails to, and then an email will go out to the client. Once again, sort of like on the last one, doesn't matter where they are. Well, actually, they can click on the link from wherever they are, but really this one, they should be on their smartphone or a smart device to set it up so that they can be taking the pictures of the invoices. They click on the link, it'll take them into a spot on their smart device. It'll take them right through the steps, and it leads them everywhere. I'm not going through all the steps, but eventually they get to a spot where they can take a picture of an invoice. So they're out at a client, they get an invoice. Rather than waiting to get an invoice or something else, right then and there they can take a picture and immediately it goes to you. So they take a picture of the invoice, they would specify which client it is, and it goes straight into your system. The next step here is you as the accountant, you come into the Client Activity Center and you'll see how many bills have been entered that are ready to be processed. So you go to the unprocessed screen, the unprocessed column. You have the ability to click on the tops of any of these columns to sort them. So if you wanted to see the ones that had a lot of things that needed to be done, you would just click on the top and it would sort them according to the amount that are needed. So you would see which ones have pressing needs. So anyway, in this case, I see that White Horse Sales has 3 unprocessed bills. So that means I should go and enter the bills into the system. So I go into the Enter Bills Expenses screen. A little message is there telling me I have 3 unprocessed bills. Click on the drop down. I'll see the 3 different bills that were sent to me by the clients. The one that I took the picture of was Dusty Roads Travel. All I do is I click on that. As soon as I click on it, it'll automatically know that it was Dusty Roads Travel. You have the invoice right over there next to it, so you can look at the invoice and enter the information directly from the invoice. And of course, the expense account would automatically fill in once that vendor had been set up as a vendor. So that's the first step. You just take the bills, enter them in. There's other ways also, but we won't go into it, that the clients could get you the invoices to do. They can send, instead of a picture, they can actually take them out of the stored places on their phone. So now the 3 bills have been entered back to this client activity screen, and you'll notice now there's no bills that are unprocessed for White Horse, but there are 9 bills to be approved. So if you're using a system where your client actually approves the bills, you would come here. As you can see, this time the archon is sorted, meaning that I already checked on it, so I see which ones need work to be done. And I would select that client and I would send them an email just by selecting it and going to the email button on the screen. And they would receive an email. This time I'm not showing it, but it's just like the others. And there'll be a little spot for them to click on the link. It's very familiar to them by now. So they click on the link and it takes them into an approved bill payment screen. And once again, they can be anywhere. This one, they can be on their computer. It'll take them to a screen to approve payments. They can be on their smart device. It'll take them into the screen to approve payments. And all they do is they select which bills they want you to pay. They'll be able to write a different amount if they wanted to. Like in this case, we don't want the full amount for Cable Insights for some reason. They can see the total of the payments they're approving. And then they just go to approve payments and they can select what date they want the checks to be written on. So now you come back to the client activity screen and you see ready for payment. None, well, there's 1 to be approved because that was the one that not the whole amount was paid on. And there's 16 that are ready for payment. So the next step is you simply go in and the checks can be printed or they can be saved to the cloud cabinet or a few other options in order to get them paid. So that's pretty much how that part works. Next thing I want to show is on the sales side and how working with merchant accounts and what that can do for you and your clients. So once again, you email out which clients you want to set up the merchant account. They get that familiar email. They click on the link, and it would take them to a screen, which I'm not going through. That's with Stripe.com, where they set up with a merchant account. It takes about a minute to set it up. It's very straight, very easy to use, and Stripe.com has a very powerful website of their own for your clients, or for you if you're using it to bill your clients, to follow and see how things are going with your billings. But once that's set up, you just simply go in, your customer would enter their invoice, they click on email, and now your customer, a little confusing sounding there, but they receive their invoice, and all they do is they click on the Pay Now, takes them right into a screen where they'll be able to see all of their invoices. They select which invoices they want to pay. Once they've done that, all the journal entries are automatic. So, if you have 50 bills being paid by credit card, that's 50 entries that don't need to be made as far as sales transactions. They're already all done. We also have recurring invoices. I'm not going to show it, but just want to show you how recurring invoices with merchant accounts can really be a major time savings. For the right clients, the complete sales cycle can really become automated even with hundreds of clients, like a rental property or co-ops or a storage space building, maybe a maintenance service, even lawn maintenance or anything that does monthly type of billings. These are ideal for this type of savings because the invoices can be recurred, generated, and emailed out with very little work. The customers receive the invoices, the customers pay, all the entries are automatic, and the time that's saved there is just amazing. Okay, what was mentioned before was permissions. You can give some of your clients permissions to be doing some work in the program, and what you have the ability to do is to only give them permissions to do what you feel they are capable of doing. Maybe you just want them writing checks and maybe entering cash receipts. Maybe you want them to be able to create invoices or enter bills. Maybe you don't want to do anything, you just want them to be able to see a financial statement so they can review financials. And we also have the ability for full charge clients to give them complete permissions, which isn't quite everything that you're given. Like they can't do adjusting entries, they can't print out financials with the letters and other things like that. But the permissions really save time on the errors that you can keep your clients from getting where they don't belong. Now I'm going to show you some of the review tools for trial balance work. We have many different options to fit your processes. This is the trial balance review. You notice it really looks like a trial balance that you're used to. If you've seen the trial balance in QuickBooks, it's okay, but you don't really have transactions, unadjusted balance, adjusted balance, and we have a lot of other columns that you can select also and customize it according to what you want. We also have the ability to go to Excel with any of these. I really like using Excel. I kind of like to say that I know most accountants love working with Excel anyway, so most any screen of ours that's of this nature can go to Excel. So anyway, you could click on a line, it'll take you to all the transactions for that line. From that transaction you can click, it'll take you down all the way to the original transaction. So that's the way you can review right from the trial balance review screen. But we have other screens that you can do similar review work from. This is the write-up review journals. From here, you can go and do the same sort of drill down. Some accountants like this better because it has the actual debit and credit for each transaction. You also have the ability to do reviewing directly from an income statement or a balance sheet. And you have the exact same drill down capabilities from here. And a new tool that we've just offered recently is the trial balance general ledger screen, where you can do the drill down directly from the general ledger to all the transactions. Some other advanced features that we have, is we have ratios, including the ability to compare these ratios to industry standards. I'm going to show a screen at the very end called the analysis report, and in that report there'll be some common ratios that your clients will get. We have consolidations, we have tax links, we have budgeting. It's a pretty good budgeting program. You can do reports to compare actual against budgeted amounts. We have a complete set of financial statements. These financials look like regular professional financial statements, not and it's directly within the program, not like in QuickBooks and some others where the financials look more like what a client might envision, not really the way an accountant sends out a financial statement. We have the ability to send a complete set of financials, cover sheet, table of contents, the letter, the footnotes, and everything else. You can create custom letters to go with it, or you can use any of an array of SARS 21 compliant letter templates. So the letters are they're always kept up to date as there's changes in different rules. And you can have comparative financials. You can show current period, prior period, variances, and percentages. Basically all with just the click of a mouse you can change between those different things. And a lot of different options that we have there. Some other features for financial statements are that we have special groupings that we have set up for industries, and in these groupings we have special accounts, special groups that are already combined, and it just makes it a lot easier to give these managerial reports that your clients may want. You can create 13-column income statements, like each month and then a total. You can have departmental income statements, four-year comparisons, and we have a feature where we have provided dedicated financial statements for nonprofits. There's a lot of behind-the-scenes work we do in order to make the nonprofit financials look better and more professional. And most of these financial statements come out professional just using the system defaults. Very little work is needed by you, but you can tailor the formatting and save the various formats, so you can have several different formats depending upon what your needs and what your client's needs are. One client may want a financial statement for themselves where they want all of their sales broken out. That's good for managerial type work. Or if they're giving it to a bank, they may want just one line for sales. And once that's set up, it's just a drop down in the financials to change from one to the other. And as I kind of mentioned already, you can save multiple custom formats. And finally, I'm running out of time. I have so many things I would like to show, but I'm running out of time. I'm going to show you some of the virtual CFO tools. And the ones that I'm going to show now is the snapshot and also the client activity screens for reviewing your clients. So the snapshot, it's kind of like it's the complement to the, the dashboard is the complement to the snapshot. The snapshot gives all of your clients with a little bit of information. The dashboard gives a lot of information for one particular client. You can see graphs to compare income against last year, expenses against last year, income against budgeted income, expenses against budgeted expenses. There's a nice expense analysis graph here where you can see how much is being spent on various types of expenses. You can see if you're doing bookkeeping, which clients have outstanding balances. It helps keep track of the receivables, and a profit and loss comparison. And the other thing that we have is the performance analysis report. I kind of touched on it before. This is one that you can send out to your clients, and you can have it set up automatically that anytime you close a month or close a year, this will be sent to your clients. So this is the performance analysis report. Once again, it can show income versus expenses, shows your operating income, shows cash balances, gives a few important ratios, and a lot of other information about your client's account. So I think that is it for what I'm going to be doing. So what I'm going to do is change the presenter and give it back to Divya. Thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to show this to you. I really enjoy showing the program. So thank you very much. So,
okay, thank you, Dave. And Dave, if you can just confirm that you're now seeing my Beyond Accounting screen.
I see your screen now.
Okay, great, thank you. All right, so thanks again to Dave for demoing Accounting Power and many of its unique capabilities. And Dave, by the way, there's a couple of questions in the questions tab for you there as well. So Kirk, Nancy, Dawn, David, you'll get responses back shortly on the chat screen there. If anybody else has questions, feel free to write them in there as well. So I wanted to talk a little bit about what AccountantsWorld offers, not only in terms of accounting, but also beyond accounting. We have something called the Power Practice System, and the centerpiece of the Power Practice System is the Accounting Power solution that Dave has just demoed, but it also offers a suite of other fully integrated solutions, all cloud-based and all working very closely together to maximize your efficiency. We offer Website Relief, which is a website building tool for your business, whether your business currently has a website or doesn't. This will allow you to create a very professional website very, very quickly, and it'll also be fully integrated in with everything else that we do. Cloud Cabinet is both an online document management tool for your firm, as well as an access point for client portals, where clients can go ahead and access their documents securely 24/7. So now we're offering the ability to do full document sharing and management both internally to your firm as well as externally as well with your clients, and do it securely and safely. Practice management is a practice practice relief is a practice management tool, including time and billing as well as many other capabilities to make sure that you get paid as quickly as possible. After the fact payroll, Dave mentioned before for doing after the fact payroll, and then finally directory listing. So if you go on Google and look for accountants in your zip code, one of the top results that will come up on Google or Bing is going to be AccountantsWorld's directory listing. Thousands, many thousands of small business clients use that tool every year to find an accountant in their area. And so with the Power Practice System, you get a gold listing within the directory listing as well. The last item I'd like to mention, the last solution I'd like to mention, separate from the Power Practice System, is Payroll Relief. So whereas after the fact payroll is obviously for after the fact, Payroll Relief is a live payroll solution. It's an award-winning solution. It's won the CPA Practice Advisor Innovation Award and a host of other solutions, a host of other awards and recognitions as well. And it offers everything that you need in order to be able to do live payroll very profitably. Now, a lot of people think of payroll services as being an all-pain, no-gain service. This is something that many accountants this is a belief that many accountants hold dear. What Payroll Relief has been able to do is to eliminate all the headaches that have traditionally made payroll processing a really hassle-based service in the past. Payroll Relief means that you need very little professional involvement in processing payroll. It's actually easier than tax work or accounting work, and it creates a perennial revenue stream for you that continues to grow over time as your clients' businesses grow. Payroll Relief is dedicated to making payroll services more profitable for your clients. And in fact, 65% of Payroll Relief customers said that their payroll practice has seen at least a 25% improvement, whether it's in processing time or profits or both, since they've started using Payroll Relief. The way that Payroll Relief accomplishes this, complete automation. So you see there are many of the things that Payroll Relief handles automatically on time with guaranteed accuracy, everything from payroll computation to direct deposit, electronic filing of tax forms, electronic payment of taxes, year-end processing, including W-2s, W-3s, and 1099s, as well as comprehensive reporting for both you and your clients. So I encourage you to check out Payroll Relief. If you go to our website, AccountantsWorld.com, and go to the Payroll Relief page, you'll be able to sign up for a 30 to 45-minute webinar specifically on how to make payroll profitable. And we think it's worth your while to go ahead and check that out, whether you're currently doing payroll or haven't offered it in the past. we think you're going to be surprised at what you see there. So we talked about the Power Practice system, including Accounting Power. And what we're doing right now is a very special offer. This is an offer you're not going to see on our website or anywhere else. It's only for people who are attending our webinar. We're offering the entire Power Practice system, all of those fully integrated solutions, including Accounting Power, for 1 full year for just $997, absolutely risk-free. The Power Practice system is traditionally $2,195, and even that is really an exceptional value on its own. As you know, most professional accounting solutions on their own will end up being $2,000 plus, often much, much more than that. We're offering the best-in-breed accounting software solution plus 5 other solutions as well for $2,195. Right now, it's discounted down to $997 only for webinar attendees like yourself. And the goal here is to get you ready to take back control of client accounting and revamp your practices and grow your practices in the ways that you want to, whether that means getting more clients, whether that means creating more revenue from your existing clients, or deepening your client relationships. After using Power Practice System for a year, if you don't feel that it's met your expectation, you can return it. In fact, you can return it at any time during that year for a full refund. But we're confident that you're going to experience really significant benefits both on the accounting side and elsewhere. And all you're doing is taking $997 from your bank account where it's not really doing anything for you and depositing it with us. And it's a deposit to basically go ahead and experience what the Power Practice system can do for you. So we're really committed to not only offering the solutions that make a difference, but making them highly affordable and absolutely risk-free. So AccountantsWorld is making 100% commitment to you, both in terms of our products and our services. We want to protect your practice, strengthen your client relationships, reduce your workload, and raise your bottom line. We're giving you a chance to go ahead and try this risk-free at this time. We know that some accountants would choose to make excuses and stay in their comfort zone, knowing that that might hurt their practices, but they feel like they're doing well enough. But we're confident that you're not one of those accountants. You've shown up here today and you've listened to what we have to say here at this point. So I'd really like to encourage you to let AccountantsWorld help you to do that. And at this time, Jonathan, if you could go ahead and launch the second poll question on here. It should be showing up in just a minute. And so, very simple question. I'm asking you here, are you ready to get the Power Practice system risk-free for a year for just $997, or to stay with the status quo? And so what we want to do here is begin to identify people who are ready to begin to work with us. We will provide full support in terms of migrating your existing data over, helping your clients get migrated over as well. It's typically a process that happens over the course of a couple of months, but by the end of that couple of month period, you're going to be seeing the full effects of having this system in place in your practice and being able to work much more collaboratively with your clients as well. So I'm going to allow people another 10 seconds or so here, 10 to 15 seconds, to go ahead and get their vote in, and please remember to click the submit button here. Okay, we'll give 5 more seconds, so please go ahead and get your votes in here. Okay, great, and I'll go ahead and close the poll at this time. All right, so that concludes our presentation for today. On behalf of David, I want to thank you for joining us today for this presentation. We hope that you found it useful. If you have any additional questions for either Dave or myself, please go ahead and write them in, and we'll be happy to continue to help you with those. And otherwise, thank you very much for your time today. And please check us out at AccountantsWorld.com to learn more about our solutions and attend any of our webinars on accounting or payroll. And we hope to speak to you soon and help you get started transforming your practice. Thank you.